Good morning, everyone. This is Russell Rucker. I'm here for another constitutional talk. You know, a while back we were talking about the Electoral College, and I want to discuss it a little more today. The election of 1800 came up into play, and Jefferson and Aaron Burr were tied, both with 99 votes. Now, the interesting thing about this is they were tied because one was supposedly going to be the president, the other was going to be the vice president, because they were tied in the way our Electoral College worked. The way it worked in the original document is whoever got the most votes became president, whoever got the second most votes became vice president. That's only, of course, if in the Electoral College they received a majority of all votes, all the electors casting votes. So basically what we have here is a situation where it was disputed whether Jefferson or Burr would become president, not the Federalists. So Jeffersonian's Republican Party had won the election, and it was a question of which one would be president. And it went on so it went into the House of Representatives because it was tied. And in the House, 35 votes went by, one after the other, continually coming up to the exact same number. After the 35th ballot, Hamilton convinced some of his Federalists that, we have these two people, and I think the best we can do is elect Jefferson over Aaron Burr. And so some votes were thrown to Jefferson, and he became president. Now, this is an important situation. Aaron Burr was ignored the entire time he was the vice president. Jefferson pretty much acted on his own regard with his cabinet and ignored him. And so when you get to the next election, Aaron Burr's election, he decided he was going to run for the governor of New York, and that's what he did. But because of the tie in 1800, by 1803, Congress sent an amendment to the states, the 12th Amendment. And one of the main provisions is to see to it that it's distinct who will be president and who will be vice president. And that was the whole purpose of the 12th Amendment. And I'll go through it a little bit with you here. By the way, this is my book, Textualism and Originalism in Our Constitutional Republic. This is the second edition. It just came out. But Amendment 12 begins, the electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and for vice president, one of whom at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. They shall name in their ballots the persons voted for as president, and in distinct ballots the person voted for as vice president. And they shall make distinct lists of all persons voted for as president and of all persons voted for as vice president, and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of government of the United States. This is the primary difference between the original document section in Section 2 and the 12th Amendment. It goes on explaining how the Electoral College is supposed to work. But this was the whole purpose of the 12th Amendment. And in 1803 it was set up. So by 1804 we are operating out of the Electoral College. Things went on just fine with the Electoral College for a little while, but we came up to the election of 1824. The election of 1824, we are operating under the 12th The Federalists had pretty much been a defunct party by that time. They didn't even field a candidate in 1824. And there were 4 individuals running. They were all really Democratic, Republican, or what I would call Republican Party members. This is the writing in Congress showing the numbers in the president. List of the order of president and vice president in the United States as counted in the presence of the 2 houses of Congress. Okay, so here it says for president, here's for vice president. And so it is distinct in the differences here. The problem we have in 1824 is we have 4 candidates running. Henry Clay is the Speaker of the House. So he has some immense power. And this is the map, the electoral map of 1824. And Clay wins Missouri, Kentucky, Ohio, gets some votes out of North Carolina. And Jackson, clearly the main winner, he gets 99 electoral votes. And he's in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, all this area in green, and then Pennsylvania, New Jersey. Okay. And John Quincy Adams is running, and he gets the entire Northeast, most of New York, gets a section way down in Louisiana and a section in Illinois. And then there's a 4th person running, and that is Crawford. Crawford gets 41 electoral votes. Okay, and Crawford's in the blue, so he gets Georgia, Virginia, and a little sliver up in New York, an elector that voted for him. So basically, what we have here is Jackson has the majority with 99 electoral votes. Then it's followed by John Quincy Adams with 84, and then we have 41 votes with Crawford. And Clay's sitting down there at 37. So clearly, Jackson's the big winner here. Okay, he has 99 electoral votes, but he's one shy of the majority needed. So it goes into the House of Representatives because he doesn't have the majority of all the votes cast. It's not just a tie like what we had in 1800. Here we have someone who's clearly won more than anyone else, but it still goes into the House because he hasn't won enough. And so this is the situation. So it goes into the House, and they have to, according to the Constitution, they pick from the top 3 candidates for president. So in the top 3, you wind up with Adams, Jackson, and Crawford. Clay's out. But Henry Clay is Speaker of the House. And Henry Clay decides, if I can convince the people for Henry Clay to go vote for John Quincy Adams, then he can become president, and he basically becomes a kingmaker. So John Quincy Adams is elected in the next ballot to be president of the United States, thereby depriving Andrew Jackson the presidency. Of course, there's a certain outrage over what occurred here, and Clay is even offered a spot in Adams' cabinet. See, John Quincy Adams is more of a Federalist kind of thinking person than the Republican kind of thinking person, even though they're all basically, there are no parties in this period. This is the era of good feelings we're in here. And technically, they're all kind of the same ilk, the same party. They're all basically part of the Republican Party, because there is no Federalist anymore. But still, Adams thinks more like his father, the second president, than he does of Jefferson, Jackson, and that kind of thing. So they were all together then. Adams and Clay were together in the same cabinet, and the supporters of Jackson were furious. They thought that they had got some a crooked compromise with each other. And so immediately the next campaign starts for 1828. And Jackson is elected in 1828. Okay, he's a clear winner. And that's shortly after that, that's when the Whig Party organized and began as a party in opposition to Jackson. And it's just kind of an interesting thing on how things worked. But the whole purpose of having a distinct ballot in the Electoral College is because of the election of 1800. The reason we have a Democratic Party today is because of this election of 1824. So it goes back quite a ways, and it gives you a better idea of the purpose of what's happened in our Electoral College. There's another election in the later 1800s that actually went all the way into the Supreme Court. Now, the Electoral College isn't always a smooth running operation, but it's what we have, with each state getting the exact number of electors as they have representative in the combined Congress. So you add the senators and the House members together, and that's how you get the number of electors that you have for a state. So the smallest number is 3, because you have at least one House representative per state and 2 senators, so that you get at least 3, and then it goes all the way up into the mid-50s. So it's an important device that we have. It's an important part of our Constitution, and it's really an important way of electing a president. It gives each state a voice in who becomes president, from the smallest state to the largest state. We do not elect people by popular vote. If you were to look at this election here, Jackson has 153,544 popular votes. The next highest, which is John Quincy Adams, got 108,000, but he still lost. And we don't elect people that way. We elect people by the Electoral College, and that's just how our system works, and it's worked fairly well for us for all this time. It doesn't allow large states, say California and New York, and to combine and just completely wipe out the country. You've got 4 or 5 real large states in this country. Yeah, you have California, which I mentioned, New York, which I mentioned, and you have Texas, you have Florida with a large number, and then it kind of drops down from there into mid-range states that, have 10 or 12 or that kind of thing, all the way down to 3. So it's an important system. It gets the job done, and it's part of our division of power in this country. It's part of states' rights, and it's an important system. I want you to think about for that for a moment. Let's get a little respect for our Electoral College. I hope you understand the concept of why we have it. And it is so that each state gets a fair say. The other thing that's unique about Electoral College is you can't elect somebody from Texas and then elect the vice president from Texas. When those electors are voting, they cannot vote for the same person for president from the same state. They cannot vote for a person from the same state for president as you can for vice president. This actually came up as a possibility in the election of 2000, where they both had been for living in the same state, but the one moved out of the state to a different state just so that it would not interfere with the rules of the Electoral College. There are ways to get around these kind of rules, but it's important, and the whole idea is to tie this country together. So you don't get one state getting both the president and the vice president. This is also an important distinction in our Electoral College. I hope you understand a little bit better on our system, and I'll see you next time on the next Constitutional Talk. You have a good day now. Actually, a good week. We'll see you next time on the next Constitutional Talk. Have a good day. Bye.